Hello, I'm Josh.
I'm Josh.
And I'm not Josh, but together we are
Joshing around in air.
That is embarrassing to do in public.
Yeah, it is. Which is going to be the first time the listeners understand that we are currently sitting outside in the centre of Ealing, about to enjoy some Prosecco.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, joshing around in Ealing.
Hey. So yeah, just basically. Oh, here we go.
Oh, wow.
So that is the sound of a Prosecco bottle being opened. And yeah, that is our drink of choice today.
The impression that we must be giving people. We're just sitting outside, recording a podcast, drinking Prosecco.
But Sam, do you want to add some context to this, or are you happy with the amount of leaving our listeners in the dark as to why we're doing this?
You know, we live in London, and this is just what people who live in London do.
Yeah, that's why when I look around, there's no one else sitting outside.
Right, well,
here we go.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Yes.
Whenever you're ready.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Is it just me, or is this slightly pink?
Yeah, it is.
It's pink Prosecco.
It's lovely.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yes, mate. We've made it.
There you go.
I mean, this is it. Who cares about LGT?
I just want to drink Prosecco.
Thinking about LGT makes me want to drink Prosecco.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, congratulations are in order, though. Podium position.
Yeah. Well, you sniffed that, Josh. Very good.
Yeah, returning to third, I think it's my place.
Okay. yeah. Because that was 2 years ago? You got a bronze fish gnome.
Yeah.
And you got another one this year. Oh no, you got a medal, didn't you?
Got a medal this year.
Yeah, because the fish gnomes go to the painters.
Which I can't lie, I was a tiny bit sad about, because I'm like, those fish gnomes are pretty special. I mean, the medals look great, but the fish gnomes are like, they're iconic.
Yeah, that's the one you want, isn't it? But hey, it's a great event. Really enjoyed myself. It's the first event I've done where I had more losses than wins, so that was very disappointing. But
Really?
yeah, I was 3-2, but I said I wanted to be 3-2, but I was 2-3, if that makes sense. So I lost 3-1-2. So I started off the game at the end of the day quite well. The first day, I was 2-1 by the end of it. I was feeling pretty good about myself. And then just lost both of my games in the second day. It was a little sad, but hey, like, you know, we come to these things to be able to play 5 games of Conquest, get to know people, and chat about all this nonsense. So it was a really, really great event. So I think who was it? Was it Howell who won the painting competition?
Yeah.
I mean, his stuff is just amazing. It is absolutely quality, and I think I played his City States actually one game, and it was absolutely gorgeous.
Followed by Nord's Rob.
Yes, Nord's Rob, the actual Nord's Rob.
The real one.
Shout out to him.
Not Josh. Yes.
Speaking of calling people Rob, Just Roll One to be speaking a lot of smack talk about us.
Yes.
And about how they've beaten all of us.
Allegedly. I think there's no evidence to suggest that at all.
Yeah, guys, we actually won all of our games, and
well, as I hope we're going to hear on this episode, actually, some of that is a bit in question, isn't it, James?
Yeah.
James. Oh man, but yeah, no, it's good. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else, and it's completely slipped my mind. You know what? Let's just go straight on to. I have a little listener question for us. Even though we're outside, I'm still going to hit us up with one of these. So, by the way, if you would like to get your question listened to, sorry, that makes. Do you see what my brain did? Listen to the question. Right. If you would like to have your question read out on the podcast, please email us at joshingaroundinair@gmail.com and we'll give it a go. So we've got another one from Drew. He says, "Hey guys, I've had this burning question for a while now. Why is it that everyone sounds unhappy as a Spire? Where's the happiness clone? The one that carries a boombox playing music? And what kind of music would a Spire listen to? Your 8th biggest fan." There we go.
Ooh. I mean, I think we've talked historically about cultural sensitivities around spires.
Of course.
You know, gathering biomass. You know, we shouldn't judge them for it. It's just, it's entirely appropriate within their culture, and so just accept them and stop being so racist, basically. And looking unhappy, I think, is the same sort of thing. It's just their thing.
It's their thing. Okay.
They just want to mope onto the battlefield, do some hitting, die a bit, come back a bit, chase some pheromones around. That is spies for you. So
when you say chasing pheromones around, in my mind I had the idea of like a force-grown drone just frolicking in a field of like corpses, like just chasing after this like green little light flying around.
Yeah, it is that.
So actually, maybe he's not unhappy. Maybe he's really happy.
Exactly.
These drones are just like, they're living the dream.
Yeah.
On the outside, they just look horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. And in which case, what sort of music they listen to? Just emo.
Emo.
Surely.
Yeah.
90s grunge.
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah. Placebo.
Yeah.
My kind of music, actually.
yeah. Well, there you go. No wonder you picked the faction.
Yeah, that's it.
See, I was thinking of more the lineage highborn and kind of the nobility of the spires. I was thinking they'd be very snobbish. They would not have a boombox. For them, it's got to be like opera or maybe like classical piano.
Okay.
And it's got to be experienced on a real piano.
Yeah, just like someone playing Moonlight Sonata. Yeah. Okay.
It's they would dare have this kind of modern stuff and technology.
Yeah. Even the piano itself, the pianoforte. No, stick with the harpsichord, thank you.
I would like my strings plucked, not hammered, please. Oh, well, there you go. Spies, they like their strings plucked, not hammered.
Yeah.
Unlike us, we get absolutely hammered.
Nearly halfway through a first glass of Prosecco.
Well, so amongst all the smack talk that Just Roll One's Aaron and James were chatting about, they did come up with what I think is a brilliant idea about the Ashes, about how we have to have this kind of ongoing tournament between us. I think that'd be great. Unfortunately, it's firmly within their grasp at the moment, but we always have next year to claw it back.
I'm just happy that we have done exactly what we set out to do, to lull them into this false sense of security, so that they can go and produce this little trophy that we can just take off them, hold on to forever. It's the true battle of the podcasts right there. However, we're drinking Prosecco now, so far.
We're doing pretty well. Oh man, that's great.
I can't believe all three of us lost.
Yeah, we all played either James or Aaron. I think both of you played James, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that isn't just on this tournament either. It is every time any one of them has faced any one of us.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, I haven't faced Aaron though.
No.
I don't know who they think is the better of the two. Maybe we should, start some infighting between the two of them.
Yeah, that's it.
The better Just Roll One's player.
Conflict from without and within. Excellent strategies. Love this. Cool. So look, why don't we chat a little bit about our games? Don't want to keep your listeners too long, but I think we can chat a little bit about how each of our rounds went. And we'll just take it turn by turn and go from there.
Yeah.
Cool. So, round one. Let me just get my battle scribe up because I did remember to do this. I played Dan, who is one of the lads from up north. He plays not 100 Kingdoms. I played 100 Kingdoms. He plays Old Dominion. I think he was his accent certainly was from up north. But I don't know whether he was from that group or not, like Daryl's group and all that. I think he was. So basically, we had a good game. It was actually, so my first game was my first defeat. It basically was standard Old Dominion where they came on pretty quick. I don't remember too much about the game. I remember, bless him, Dan was rolling pretty bad on some of his attacks especially against my Ashen Dawn, and I just seemed to save all of them. But there was one critical moment where I think he managed to finally get through him, and that was good for him. But it was a fairly close game. I enjoyed it. Dan is a cracking bloke. He's very charismatic about his reactions to each roll and each movement, and it's just great fun playing him. So I feel like as playing Old Dominion goes, it was pretty good. So, Dan, I appreciate the game. It ended in 25-32 to Dan.
Keep that in. We want people to know we're actually in London.
Yeah, this is what London's like. I'm getting used to it.
Oh, amazing. There you go. To be honest, I think we might have actually played it out towards the end a little different. No, that is, it's 25-32. So yeah, I did my standard thing, brought up my squires. They eventually got killed off, but that's fine because I held up some stuff. Started scoring from turn 3 and then kept it going pretty consistently. What was the tournament? It's head to head.
Yeah.
So that's where you have
and then 2 little.
Yeah, one big one in the middle, and then on the one hand side, and then
one
2 further. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I scored his one, but he did manage to score my one towards the end. But yeah, I managed to hold the main one for the whole game. So that was quite exciting. But yeah, so that was kind of a good game, and I enjoyed it.
That was a really similar outcome to my first game, which was against Just Roll One's James.
Yeah.
And I had the better table positioning for the entire game, but it was just the wrong scenario for my Spires to be facing his And so I did manage to, get the right sort of advantage early on, got over that big one and started scoring that early with my Force-Grown Drone Aura of Death blob, which he just really struggled to do much against. He whittled it down a little bit, but then I got other stuff onto it behind it, and so was holding on to that big one. I even managed to almost get onto the little one with an Abomination, but he is just better at killing stuff than my army is.
Right,
so I think I didn't kill anything the whole game, and he killed all my army.
Yeah, okay.
And so regardless of how many points I'd scored off the holding that objective zone, he got the points for killing all of my regiments.
Yes,
and
of
then,
course.
Turns 7, 8, 9, 10 was then holding everything he wanted to.
Yeah.
So the final score looked pretty one-sided in his favour, but actually turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, it felt like I was winning, I think, when you were looking at the game.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun game. James is a really nice guy and really fun to play against, and it was very dramatic. It was one of those games where it felt like every roll was either all 6s or all 1s. It wasn't going according to the books. And so, a lot of fun. Good stuff.
It's good.
My first game was against David, who is my favourite person to play against.
Oh, he's
I
brilliant.
feel like win or lose, you've just had a great time.
Yeah, you win every time you play David Richardson.
Yeah.
As in, like, emotionally win. I'm not, I know you've lost. I'm not saying he just gets steamrolled every time he plays.
But in Josh's case, that is the case, that he does win every time.
I've only played him twice, but yes, I've beaten him both times. But, it was... there's only one thing that really stuck out for me that game, which was just I had a tier 3 Fallen Divinity that fought his block of 20 Force-Grown Drones.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. It's the answer to that many Force-Grown Drones.
It really is.
I mean, I charged, clashed, and then he just removed like 6 stands, I think it was.
Oh man. Yeah, and that Terrifying, I imagine, did a lot of work, because when you get up to that high resolve, having Terrifying 3 is like gorgeous.
Yeah, so I was Brutal Impact 3, then he takes Terrifying 3, then I was Cleave 3, and then he took Terrifying 3 again. I mean, he was just pulling stands off.
Oh man.
So that was a lot of fun, and that was, that was just the way to beat that. But yeah, other than that...
have a tier 3 Fallen Divinity. I think that's a fairly foolproof plan for most things in the game. But yeah, love it.
So it was a good game.
Yeah. I
can't remember, I scored close to 50 points.
Okay.
I think you got about 13, so it fell. It was... It was Old Dominion. They were out early and it was pretty one-sided with the scoring.
Yeah.
Okay, well, turn 2. We played Divide and Conquer.
Which one's that? That's like, there's a bunch of zones? Or is that there's only there's 2 in the middle, isn't there? And then there's a bunch spanned around them. Is that right?
Can't even remember.
Can't remember. Okay, well, we're going into this without knowledge of what the scenario is.
I think it was the one where it's 4, like, and it was like 1, 2, 1, 2, like a kind of like.
Oh, like a diamond pattern, yeah.
Yeah, it was like
It's
2
not a diamond, but
slightly.
like
I think it was 4 the same, and it was 2 slightly closer to you and 2 slightly closer to them.
Oh, okay.
Or was it
Sure.
6 and it's 3 slightly closer to you and 3 slightly closer to them? I thought it was one of those.
It's
ones.
definitely a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
I swear it's like it's got 2 big zones in the middle that are neutral, and then it's got 2 enemy ones, and then 2 friendly ones.
Oh, you're
That
right.
flank 'em, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So there's actually 6 objective zones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
we
that's
might
the
It's like head to head but mirrored, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, correct.
So there we go. Well, now we've finally figured out what we're talking about.
Some
I think
people
we
just
might be
like-
getting down to why it is that they beat us.
I think we'll find the answer at the bottom of this bottle of Prosecco. Look, so I mean, you got to play David. I then immediately played Dave Richardson in the second round, and yeah, it was by far my most fun game of the entire tournament. It was brilliant. I mean, just there was a moment where I can't remember exactly what happened, but I remember there was a moment where I had my household knights, my big block, running up the kind of like left hand / middle side, ready to kind of go either way if they needed to, and David was kind of astute enough to go, I can march charge that and wheel my massive block of force-grown drone. So it's just in the middle of the table. And so that's exactly what he did. And then I got to a point where I had then my Crimson Tower charged in the other side, did a bunch of damage. I actually got to a point where I duelled him with my Noble Lord. He refused. And then I duelled him with my Priory Commander. And because he'd already refused, it meant the Biomancer had to... Was it Biomancer, I think? Yeah. He had to duel with my... Priory Commander, but unfortunately he did manage to survive that, which is fair enough. I mean, so Priory Commander's pretty good. He says 6 attacks, crash 4, so it's like a lot of dice, but there's no cleave or anything. So he just gets to defend them. And, I think there is terrifying. So yeah, I think he still did that, but yeah, so they didn't quite get that off. But it was good being able to do that double duel. I've never done that before, so that was cool. But yeah, it was great fun. And what Josh didn't tell you is that when you defeat his big block of force-grown drones, as a thing in this tournament, David gave you one of his force-grown drones as a kind of commemorative, well done, you managed to kill this massive block of things. And so I was honestly like, I don't care if I win or lose this, I just want that model. And so I ended up with it. It's brilliant. And I've called him Jeff, and he is the goodest of boys. He exists in my army box along with all my 100 kingdoms. But yeah, it was a great game. The score point was 58-2 in my favour.
Ouch.
Which makes it sound like it was an absolute steamroll, and it totally wasn't. Because it was basically like neither of us were scoring for a bit. Then I just kind of carried on scoring a zone. It looked like I could have lost it at one point when he wheeled that big block of force-grown drones down, but I just managed to get the right charges off in the right places, run a few supremacies. So it kind of worked out. And I remember, bless him, Bob, his fetus launcher didn't manage to get a single kill in. I think he was very sad about that. So I was rolling the dice and hoping that I'd take a wound. He rolled it separately. I think one of the most amazing things that I actually need to start doing is that David got these little tiny tiles, and he would had a whiteboard marker and he wrote on the tiles.
Yeah.
And so if it was broken, he'd write broken, but he wouldn't write broken. He'd write stuff like
something.
Yeah, so if you refuse a duel or something, he'd write
chicken,
wuss, yeah, something like that. And he gave me one whenever I was broken. There was one which just said shit. So, oh man, it was great fun. I really enjoyed that game.
My second game was against a guy called Ben, and I played Ben last year. And last year I had a really quite unpleasant hammering of him.
Right.
He just never got onto the table, really. That my Strix had got up so high in his face.
Yeah.
Last year he was playing Old Dominion when Dweg were the absolute broken faction.
Yeah.
This year, Old Dominion is the broken faction. So when I saw his face, I thought, he's going to beat me this time. And instead, he brought his Dweg army.
Oh, man.
And so I thought, oh no, we're going to have the same thing. I'm going to fast one again. And the final score, I think, was 22-20 to him. And
that's close.
Exactly like James, I got the right position and I was controlling the board, and then it just tipped at the wrong moment, which then gave him the rest of the points. But it was, that 2 points is a single objective zone for one turn. And basically, I think that I lost it because I charged. I saw that one of his units, I can't remember which one it was, I had my Centaur Avatara ready, and I'm not used to using the cavalry in that sort of way. I was just so desperate to get the charge off that I thought, if I move and charge, I can get the impact hits, and that's what they're there to do. Didn't do enough with that, and then they got killed back. And I think, if I'd have held them back, I could probably have done more damage with them the following turn, or just slowed him down a little bit, which would have allowed me to score that extra zone. Yeah. And then I'd have won. So that was balanced on the knife edge, that one.
I think not being able to inspire for impact hits is it really removes a lot of reliability of impact hits. Now, of course, I'm not complaining, because impact hits are 3 hits on top of a clash, right? But it's like, the reality is, when I hit with my Crimson Tower, I'm hitting on 3s, and that's pretty as it goes, not massively reliable. It's meant to be 50-50, but more often than not, you'll end up rolling under that, and it just kind of, or what it feels like. I'm sure if you looked at all my rolls and put them together and did some calculations and be like, oh, he's actually technically quite lucky, he just sucks at the game. But the thing is, just on those, it can feel a little bad. So when you're just relying on the move charge, it can be a bit of a hard one. But that's why I put Olafins Raw on though.
So there we go. I think that was a mistake. I think I made that more than once at LGT actually.
Oh, bless it.
But that one, early in that game, it felt like it was. I felt like I was absolutely dominating a game. Right. My Leonine Avatara were out there with their AP2. Everything was working the way it was meant to do. Yeah. And then I just gave just a little bit away too early, and he took the rest of it. So, well done, Ben. Nice to play against you.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, my next game is against Benedict.
Come on, we love Benedict.
Yeah, Benedict's great. And to be honest, all my first 4 games kind of blended together because they all went the same way. I just got guys out early. I sat on the objective, and I was just ahead the whole game. So, but I was very impressed. He had brought some spires that were a bit more hardy. He didn't have as many force-grown drones. He had all bound clones and stuff like that. He was getting them up to defense 4. So, whereas sometimes I've had spires who kind of start to fall off a bit after turn 5 or 6. His guys hung around fairly close to the end. But it was a pretty similar score to the first game. I think, it was a good game, but I felt like I didn't sweat loads in either of my first 2 because I'm a late game army who's ahead. Right. It just feels a little oppressive.
Yeah, sure.
So after 2 games in, we were 2-0, 1-1, 0-2.
Right, yes. Yeah, fascinating. Okay. That did not say that same. Cool. So I've got my 3rd game here, which I actually didn't even put down on my app. There is a Uber Eats driver who's driving like an absolute lad. He's revving his half a litre engine. Yeah. Oh, bless him.
He's looking for that tip. He's really is. Guys, you don't understand how fast I went.
Well, I don't know. It was quite erratic though. It wasn't like a single acceleration. It was like a vroom, 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 like he had a Ferrari or something. But it was
in his
literally
head, changing gear every time that he's doing.
Oh man. So I actually didn't write this game down for some reason. I thought I had, but I hadn't. But no, I was playing Howl and his wonderfully painted city-states. I think that game was... honestly, I remember feeling on that game... I don't actually know which scenario it is, so maybe one of you can tell me. But I remember feeling that game. It felt so tight, and I was just like, I feel like I could lose this at any moment. And then it was just kind of at the point where you realise how much damage Ashen Dawn can just take from if you've not got enough cleave about, and you're just like, And so once Those chariots, though, I tell you what, he had 2 chariots, and they were just an absolute nightmare to deal with. And so they came around and just did pop shots into everything I had. They could shoot out the sides. They're close enough and they're shooting into your side. Well, actually, no, the rules now changed where you have to be in effective range, but for the LGT, you didn't have to be in effective range. If you shot into the side, I had to re-roll my ones.
Yeah.
So when you got AP1, you're shooting in my side, I'm down to defense 2, re-rolling ones, which is just you're just taking most of them. So he played it really well, got those up. They annoyed me, and I know that if I committed something to it, I'd be wasting my time because I'm now off an objective or off a thing. So that was really good. My longbowman, I feel like they did some work. It was great. He didn't have Fight in the Shade, which was nice because Fight in the Shade is horrible. It makes you re-roll your ones on volleys, which will come up in my last game. But it was a really good game, really close, and then I think I managed to kill off his Agamer, which were the ones he was hoping would do a lot of damage, and I think I just got in there with a charge or something first. I can't remember. I think I might have actually activated my Supremacy, which gave my Ashen Dawn Hardened 1. They had Cleave 1, and then I just kind of re-rolled them all, and I was fine. So I think it was just one of those ones. So, but yeah, it was he made me sweat for sure, and I think I really enjoyed that game. And it was nice because on the first LGT I went to 2 years ago, he beat me in a 100 Kingdom mirror match. So it was really nice to play him again, get a bit of revenge, but it was great fun. It was good fun. Just lovely looking at his models. They're fantastic.
Well, game 3 for me, it was the scenario is declined flank, and is that the one?
That's the one with the
squiggly along the
yeah.
Right, yes.
So I was up against Richard.
Yes.
Who's from the Gatwick lot?
I think so, yeah.
And we met him before and played him before.
That's Bad Moon, right? No, Southampton. Did we meet him at Southampton?
Yeah, he was there at Southampton.
Yeah, he was.
LGT last year as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Last LGT. So I remembered from last LGT having a really nice chat with him. I think everybody who plays that LGT is just super nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And this game was one where my game plan actually went properly according to plan. So the first 2, it had gone according to plan and I had lost. This one, it went according to plan and I won. So I got the Force-Grown Drone blob up. It did its job. It just attracted lots of attention, killed a bunch of stuff, and then it died. But by that time, my brute drones were up, my abominations were running into places and scoring it. Exactly, they've got no right really scoring, and that was a lot of fun. In fact, my Strix on that one were all over the place. It felt like I managed to get him right up into the side of his Hellbringer Drake, which was causing him a whole bunch of issues because he wasn't sure whether what do I focus on? Do I just let him sit there and they will die, or So everything that I did in that game felt like I'm doing this the right way, and so by the end of day 1, I was 1 and 2. Which was okay. I'd had a nice time, but didn't leave the winning record.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Nice. My third game was against the legendary General Cross, and it was probably my harshest game. So it was again, those 6 objectives, 3 on either side. Turn 2, I had a scoring unit on all 3 of my objectives on my side. So turn 2.
Sorry, you playing General Cross?
Jamie.
Was he not? I thought he wasn't at LGT.
Yeah, he was.
We had a chat with him.
Yeah,
we literally did. I'm editing that out. Carry on. He was literally there. Why did I think he wasn't there? Look at the whole thing. Yeah. Sorry, carry on. You played Jamie. Yeah.
I got a phone call from him while we were at LGT.
Yeah. So I remember that one. Yeah, because we were late to the last round. Yeah. Oh, man.
So turn 2, I had a scoring regiment on all 3 of my objective zones, my side. I don't think he'd gotten onto 1. Turn 3, he might have gotten onto 1 by that point, and I'm still sitting on all 3. And you just saw the realisation in his face where I just didn't move my guys off.
Yeah.
I mean, it came to my Praetorian's turn, I'm like, they just sit here in Bastion, and basically he understood I was just going to sit there and outpoint him for the rest of the game. And so he has to leave his objectives, meaning it makes it harder for him to score them, force Old Dominion off their objectives to stand a chance at winning the game. And I'm just sitting on the front of all three of my objectives. And yeah, he tried very hard, but it was...
It was just... I remember you guys were chatting, and it was like there was literally no way he could have won that, right? Just with that army list.
He realised at the end of turn 3, and I saw it in his eyes. He just looked at me. He's like, he's like, I already know I can't win this. It's just like a really depressing thing to learn, 15 minutes into a 2.5 hour game.
Yeah. Because I mean, it was just the objective, the list matching. It was just it was like the perfect.
It was great. So end of the first day, I was feeling mega confident. I'd scored about 150 points. I'd had about 35 points scored against me, and I was like, I didn't realise at that point that the number of points you scored didn't matter towards your placement. So I went home feeling I got a lot of points. I was hoping, I'm going to get a table finish. Even if I get a loss, I think I've got enough points to score high up. And then I found out the next day that didn't matter. So
there you go. Well, that concludes day 1. So that was good fun. I like splitting it across 2 days because just 4 games in a day is too much. It's 3 and 2 easy. So I think I'd finished at 2 and 1. So I was leading on the wins there. Sam, you were
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Josh, you were 3 and 0.
Yeah.
The smile on his face that he just did as he says. He said that is the smile I look across every time I play him and he plays Old Dominion.
that little story that he just told about 15 minutes into the game, he knew that he couldn't beat me. That is our game. Every single time I play.
I feel like I was feeling pretty smug to day 2. I mean, I was, about to be prepared for my humbling, but at this point, I played 5 tournaments that year. I hadn't actually lost a single tournament game.
Oh man, that is crazy.
Old Dominion,
they just did really well for you, that right?
That was my year with them. So I was feeling pretty smug going into day 2.
Yeah. Okay, so game 4, I played my terrible game against Aaron from Just Roll Once. Sorry, it's terrible. It was really lovely. We had a great time. There was a moment where I think, it was the morning. I was feeling a bit rough, and I was just I was feeling bad. You know what? I was actually hangry, and by turn kind of 4 or 5, I realised, I'm on the back foot here. I had a bag of knickknacks, and I felt absolutely fine about it. I was like, you know what? We're good to go. So
do you know
bag
what?
Of knickknacks saved me.
There's some tips about that in a really great book.
Yes.
Available from all good bookstores.
AKA Amazon. I'm pretty sure that's the only place you can buy it, right?
No, other places can also order it from Amazon.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're still getting it from Amazon, but you're just getting it through other suppliers. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, well, as always, we'll put a link into that in the description. The Wargamer's Guide to... I've already got it wrong, haven't I? What is it?
The tabletop
miniature war. Okay, right. There's too many words for my pea brain to understand.
Edit my part out. Don't edit this part out.
To handing books.
The book about wargaming in which we talk about things. So my game with Aaron, it was we were playing Grind Them Down. Which is 3 zones?
5.
Okay, that was wrong.
That's the big one in the middle.
Yeah, a 9 in the middle, and then 4. It looks like a 5 on a dice.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so lots of zones. You can't score some of them, or are they all neutral?
No, you can score all of them. You select one that your opponent.
You can do the little.
Yeah, that if you
generator.
Capture, you score more, but it can't be the middle one.
Yeah. Because that game, I realised. If you were just holding one of them, it was actually better to jump off of it for a turn.
Yeah.
And then just jump back onto it after selecting it the next turn. If you know you're going to be able to keep doing that. So that was fun. So yeah, that game. I mean, Aaron already covered it on their podcast, but it was a good close game. It felt like, towards the middle, and it was just like, okay, this is going well. I feel like he kind of mentioned about how his army doesn't have cleave, but they don't need cleave because apparently every character in his army can give me -1 defense. So I was just getting cleave ones everywhere, and I couldn't do anything about it. Even on the turn I had hard 1, it meant nothing because it was just like, here you go, -1 defense. So he played it very well. He had 3 3 spellcasters of some description. Put him in a band of their men-at-arms, essentially the Rajakur or something like that. And he kind of like sat them behind a bunch of like flame casters and steel Avatar, the Last Airbenders, or whatever they are. I don't know what they're called, but they were really annoying.
But Parabellum, if you ever need names for future
Oh dear, yes, I know all of the names very well. So, the Last Airbenders did defeat my Ashen Dawn, very sad. So I think there was a moment, and Aaron did talk about this, where I didn't want to get shot by any more of his flame casters, because shooting for Ashen Dawn is horrible because you can't bless it, and if you're -1 defense, you're saving on 3s, and they just shoot like absolute millions of dice, and you're just like crying as you like, tip over your bucket of 6s. And so I think it was just kind of got to the point where he could just wear everything I had down, and I was like, oh, okay. And so it was, the thing I really found was that he just has so many activations, like so many units, and I'm a very elite army. I only have 8 regiments, and it's just like I was just getting bogged down by all of the different stuff. Because when you do a charge with mounted squires, you want to kill a big thing to make it worth it, right? You want to kill something of equal value. But the only things I could kill were like MSUs, and so I'm like, I charged 1 MSU. It's like, great, I've killed 180 points with my 360 point block. And then they get countercharged, shot a bit, I do a little bit of damage, and I end up killing 4 stands with something that should be doubling its value, basically. So it worked out for Aaron, definitely in that sense. He also just played, he knew how to play his army. He played it really well, and he hit all of his. There was a moment where I could have actually gotten off a side charge with my mounted squires, because I got them up so far, and he just didn't, because he doesn't have any lights coming on. I just kind of got them right up. He didn't do amazingly in his, I think, reinforcement role, so he only got a few mediums on. And I was just like, this is just like, I can just run around and do what I want here. Obviously, his stuff does come on, so he's not really afraid of getting boxed in. And there was a moment where if I'd won the supremacy and stuff like that, I could have gotten a side charge onto his Radical, which had a character in it, and that would have been 1 less sorcerer to deal with. And it was my veterans unit of mounted squires, and they have opportunists, so I'd be re-rolling, hitting on 4s. It would have been like amazing with a light unit, and because it's in the side, they're just defense 2 or whatever. And it's like, I feel like I could have at least broken them. They're an MSU, if not killed them. Do you know what I mean? It would have been amazing, but if shoulda, coulda, woulda, woulda. I think at the end of the game, but at the end of the day, the game went how it went. Aaron, I'm coming for you, mate. Next time, absolutely, make you feel like you don't want to play another game with me when I have all my monsters out. That'll be fun.
Yeah, well, my second day started with an absolutely delightful game. I got matched up with Matt, who has previously emailed into the podcast, Vanguard from the Southwest, and it was a mirror match almost to the regiment. We were sharing, this is what my list is, and his was exactly the same. His block of force-grown drones was, I think, a bit bigger than mine. He wasn't using Centaur Avatar, he was using something else, but it was basically the same list. So we knew right from the beginning exactly what the other one was going to be planning on doing. We knew how the other units worked, by the end of turn 2, it was like a mirror had been put down the middle of the table, that we had activated the same units in the same order and done the same things with them. And it was just a case of, I think I got that supremacy roll off, and so got my force-bound drones over the halfway line just before he did. My Strix came right up. I mean, probably an inch off the edge of his table side and into the side. So that was then causing him trouble, and I just sort of held that lead for the whole game, really, and just sort of wore him down. And so it was a really funny game where every unit that activated was like, oh yeah, I would have done that. And he's a great guy, and it turns out that the UK meta, as far as Parabellum is concerned, is basically his group, which he seems to have been able to collect into all of the official tournaments. And so I'm really pleased that I got to meet him and have that game against him. But I did win it pretty convincingly, and so at that point I was 2-2, ready to go into the final game.
Nice one.
I had my fourth game against Daryl, who won LGT last year, so it was a big match.
Yeah.
But again, I did exactly what my list was supposed to do. End of turn 2, I was on 3 objectives, and he had no lights, so he had 1 medium on the board.
Oh man!
So turn 3, he wasn't scoring anything, and I'd scored 3 objectives for 2 turns in a row. And I remember he looked over and he was like, "This is going to be a dumb question, but is this not a little bit broken?"
At which point you say, my fallen divinity hasn't hit a tier 3.
So
Don't know how broken it is, man.
but no, it actually got quite close. So I think I made a few mistakes in the mid game, and he managed to pull it back, and it got real razor thin. And I did something that I think probably my mistake was, I had my Praetorians followed by my Fallen Divinity on the middle objective, and I just ran my Praetorians forward. I was like, they just need to die to get up to tier 3. And then she hit tier 3, and there was loads of stuff in front of that objective, and I was like, I know she should just sit here, take the hits, and just keep scoring, but I'm just gonna let her run around and kill stuff. And so turn, I think it was 4, I ran her off the objective, losing me 4 points or something that turn, so I should have been holding 2. And just got her to run around and start killing stuff. And over the next 5 turns, she killed 5 regiments.
Mate.
And I only killed 7 of his regiments in the game in total. She ran, charged, killed something, next turn charged, killed something, next turn charged, killed something, just every turn.
Just a shooting gallery.
And then at the end he had 2 of his elephants left, and another regiment, and there was just a turn, because she's defense 4, I put untouchable on her, so she's re-rolling 6s plus has tenacious. So he charged me, shot at me, clashed with me with 1 elephant, then another regiment shot at me, and then the last elephant shot at me as well, and I took 1 damage from all of that.
Oh man. Tenacious.
Yeah, it's I've got 1-5. Oh well, I'll just tenacious that.
That is the point when you're playing a computer game against the final boss, where you just pause it and go online, what are the cheat codes onto this game? Because this is everything that has worked so far in the game is not working at this point.
Sure.
So look, you do pay a big cost to have a Fallen Divinity on, and we've discussed this in a previous episode, and obviously the rest of the army's weaker and they're not always inspired and stuff, but when she hits tier 3, Daryl at least thought she felt pretty strong. So it was something 23, 24 or something like that around turn 7, and then on the right hand flank, my last Canafor unit won the battle, and so they just bounced back and forth, scoring a new objective each turn, and then the Fallen Divinity managed to get on objective the other side, and it ended up being about 50-24. So it looked quite one-sided, the final score, maybe it wasn't quite 50, but again, it was something near that, and it looked like I'd won by a lot, but actually it had got quite close. In turn 7, I think like it could have been a lot closer, and I think he possibly could have won if one or two rolls had gone a bit differently. So, but yeah, so that was it. So end of round 4.
You were the only person who hadn't lost a game, and that's the point at which the tournament finished.
Which is what they should have done.
I was asked by a couple of people, do we, is the tournament ending now that there's only one undefeated person left? So, yeah, this was, I was feeling the most confident yet. Only undefeated player. Had scored 199 points out of 4 games. Hadn't had that many points scored against me. I was feeling very confident. And then we found out there's a 5th game, and it was going to be against my arch nemesis, James Rea, who my list had been named after.
The fall of James Rea.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it was, it was the moment where pride came before the fall, and that was my 5th game.
Okay, well, we'll chat about that in a bit, but just onto the last round. It was Maelstrom. Which I think is, again, 3 objective zones.
That's right.
And the big one in the middle and the smaller ones on the side, and you basically jump. They score different amounts on different turns, but you don't really bother about that. You just take 2 of them. Yeah. You're fine. So, Callum, we both kind of were at the end of the game. We both knew we weren't going to get to a podium position where we were, right? We were like, I think we had the same score at the time. It's like 2-2 or something like that. And so I think he might have been 3-2. I'm not sure, but anyway. But we kind of got to the end of the game, and it's the last game. We're like, you know what? Let's just crack this one out. It's nice to meet you. All of that sort of stuff. It was a lovely lad, and I think it actually might have been the first time in Conquest where I played someone like younger than me. Because definitely every time it's always been like, I don't know. I don't ask people their age. I don't know, but he seemed like quite a young lad. And I was just like, oh man, okay. So we've got a different game, and in my head I was like, he's new to Conquest. I'll be jumping in on this. Yeah, with this I know loads about. Smashing. And so we were like, look, let's just get this done quickly. And we ended up going to turn 10. So we literally played it out until the end. But yeah, he was a great lad. I really enjoyed playing with him, and he definitely humbled me with his city states.
we both got humbled in our final game.
No, we did. We certainly did,
the
my friend.
hubris of the Joshes.
And so we played Maelstrom. It was great. He had his Thorikites, who is light, evadey, hitty guys. Actually, I don't think they have that much evading. But anyway, so they went up to this objective. He chose 2, I chose 2, and just kind of, we both went on. I went to the right side, he went to his right side, which was my left, and stuff like that. So, but he managed to get his Thorikites out onto the objective turn 2, and he did a spell with his Mechanist who was sat in them to make them heavies, so he could score with them. So it was really cool, and he played that really well. And so he was just like having a great time. And so my longbowmen, who have been basically having a pretty good tournament up to now, they were like basically killing a stand of something each turn, and it was like pretty great. And like even Aaron was, he said the words, "My longbowman can sod off," in a game I actually lost. So that made me feel pretty good about it. But yeah, no, Callum basically just had a big block of hoplites, which for some reason I chose to continue to shoot at when they had fight in the shade, which meant I had to reroll my ones, but because they were on the objective I wanted, I just had to shoot them. So yeah, that was very sad. And he had a similar thing with some chariots. He had a Talos, so he had a big old Thanos statue, and he did indeed do he blipped my army, got rid of most of it. In fact, he double blipped. He got rid of all of it. So I think I was not quite. I think I was basically by turn 10. I was pretty much tabled. But yeah, he managed to kind of push onto the objectives. He'd held that side one consistently. I had to wait for my Ashen Dawn to come up and score it on turn 3. So I'm already 2 turns behind. Turn 4. So it's just like, I think he played it really well. There was a moment in the middle where it could have gone either. I felt it could have gone either way, and I made some really bad decisions with which things to shoot at with my longbows. And I kind of like spread them around too much and didn't just focus far, which is a mistake I continually make. But the highlight of that game was that mounted squires managed to defeat a Talos, which I was pretty pleased with. Because they'd gone in the sides, they got rid of the shield, so like his defense was down. An opportunist, they re-roll, it's the veteran side. So, it was the perfect opportunity for them. But yeah, it did still take them 3 turns to do it. But that was, I think that was the crowning achievement of a very sad game. I've got it written down here as 15-20 in Callum's favour. I think the score might have been a little bit different to that, but yeah, that's kind of what we landed on. But yeah, all in all, really fun game, really fun tournament. Finished with 2 wins, 3 losses. Not the worst score, not the best, but I think, definitely next LGT we'll see if I come with 100 Kingdoms or possibly some Dweg. We'll find out. But I think, knowing my rate of painting, I will probably have a 3/4 painted 100 Kingdoms army to play.
My final game was against a guy I hadn't met before called Eric, and he greeted me by saying, "Oh, you've got Spires. I have never played Spires before. I've been trying to get the whole set, and Spires was the final one."
Right.
And so I was able to give the gift of playing against Spires. And
sorry, why are all your stands coming back?
yeah. Well, this was. When I ran through my list before we started the game, I explained the thing that's going to annoy you is I've got this big block and you'll kill them and they will keep on coming back. So you've got to really commit to it. If you commit to it, you will kill them. They're not a difficult unit, but they will annoy you. And he said, how much can you heal back in a turn? And I did the quick maths in my head and was like, basically I can get back 4 stands a turn. and he said, okay, I've got to kill 4 stands. And I said, no, that is the worst number to kill. If you kill 4 and I get 4 back, there is no worse feeling. You've got to try and kill 8. Because if you kill 8, I'm broken and then I won't heal. That's when you start feeling kill. But what I did was, and once I had done it the first time, I thought, why on earth have I not tried to do this every single game I played with these? I put them 1 stand deep and 11 stands wide. And then I just moved them up in a straight line. And then he had seen there was this opportunity to move his hunting pack over and get right in my way to stop me getting on the objective. And because of the width of my unit, even though any idiot would be able to tell you I was in his side, actually, when you look at his line of sight, the majority of my stands were in his front. So I could charge at him, go straight forward, easily within march charge distance, meet him. I start to wheel around, but my thing is so wide, it goes so far that I then would start to hit one of his own regiments, so I had to stop. It's basically a diagonal line cutting the table in 2, and then he had to wheel to meet me, which put me onto the central objective zone, stopping him to getting onto it, and just literally slicing the table. So that whole thing about building a castle, that's how you build it.
Right, you just get a diagonal line.
Yeah, that draw a line with the table, and then my stuff's all on one side. And I mean, he charged that thing with so many different units, and I managed to just wear him down with some shooting, and he never quite got enough damage done, and then the Aura of Death would be hitting everything that was touching it, and it kept coming back. I really felt for him. For somebody who's never played Spires before to be playing like 11 stand wide Aura of Death 4 in old Aura of Death 4 rules. It was not a very good. It wasn't a very balanced game, and it was all because of this absolutely broken charge that I did, which is still legal according to the rules.
Well, there you go.
So so I finished 3-2 after that, which gave me a winning record, same record as I had last year.
Brilliant.
And even though I didn't table, I was mid-table, comfortably mid-table. I did manage to get a random prize at the end of the day, as far as I can tell, for having been a nice guy.
It was nice for being a leading community member, a community leader. You are our vanguard in the west of London, so you are much loved by all, Sam.
That is the sort of words that he used as well. People everywhere seem to really like you. Like
as he was announcing it, he was like, oh yeah, he's a great community leader. He's done a lot for Conquest, and he's pushing things forward. I was like, oh, I was going to go to David Richardson.
I could have named like half a dozen other people who are standing around the group. So yeah, Ramon was read out. Very happy, which gives me a second Siegebreaker Behemoth, as you know.
Yes.
So that is my intention for next LGT. Is I'll
Two
come with
Siegebreakers.
2 Siegebreakers.
Love it, mate.
Make it work.
Sounds good. Right, Josh, why don't you tell us about the final summative moment of your LGT?
So I got finally the list. The fall of James Rear was going to get to face James Rear back on the same scenario that we faced at the first LGT.
Yes.
Also in the final, so it felt proper nostalgia right the way to the brutal finish. No, it was not a start to the game again. I was out early, so I got onto 2 of the objectives first, and started scoring them. I think turn 3 was the turn where kind of went a little downhill. So I had my Praetorians and Fallen Divinity on the middle objective. And I managed to go first, and I had my Praetorians first, and I charged and got into his annoying slingers that could...
Fanatic slingers.
Yeah, they were just about to get nerfed for being stupid. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I got my Praetorian Guard with that Aura of Death into him. I thought, game over. I totally forgot. He went first with his Raptor Riders, which have got fluid formation. So they turned 180 degrees and charged backwards into me, and I was like, oh, I forgot they could do that. And I'd put my Legionnaires second to charge them and hold them up in that spot. So I got charged in the flank and just absolutely, with the old chanting rules, I don't know what chants he put on, but they did a lot and it sucked. So so that pretty much wrecked the Praetorians. So I was like, oh, that's a bit tragic. But it then did mean the Fallen Divinity was near tier 3, and I thought rather than let her just get shot every turn, I charged her out to do a bit what I'd done the game before, just run around, try and kill stuff. And unfortunately, when she charged the Thunder Riders, just the very corner, I'd say about a millimetre, maybe 2 millimetres, was touching water, which of course means the whole stand is in water. So that was just brutal. So it meant, it took me from Clash 3 down to Clash 2. And then, that kind of happened there. And then I made a bit of a mistake. I went a bit greedy. What we've all described it, you just castle on that one, you go for 2. And I sent some stuff down either flank. And both flanks just kind of lost.
Sure.
And so, then tragically, my Fallen Divinity died. 1 token of tier 3. And it was brutal. I had a Hierodeacon's got a spell. You roll 6 dice. If you get 1, 1 or 2, you get a token. Hierodeacon had failed that spell twice, which was annoying because that would have got me to tier 3. And then that turn, it'd been attacked by the Thunder Riders, shot by the Slingers, and then I'm going to go out and say illegally charged by the Blooded.
Ooh, controversial.
Explain.
So, I might be wrong. I'm not responsible for the rules at a tournament. That was actually James.
That was James.
Oh, really? So, is that right? Let's just get for the record. The guy who was responsible for the rules is the guy who made the call on whether his illegal charge was legal.
To be fair, he did ask me, and I'd forgotten this at the time, but I think you need line of sight to charge, which when you're standing behind...
You 100% need line of sight to charge.
I think we should stick on the Discord and ask.
Do I need line of sight to
Leo, quick rules check here to determine whether I should or shouldn't.
Do I need to see the thing I can charge? So I just get to teleport.
He had 3 Blooded behind a Tontor, which is
size
obviously...
4?
Size 4, not even just 3, 4.
Okay, so we're all on the same page here, James, hate mail goes to joshing around in
And unfortunately the Blooded charged through and did literally pinpoint on the 1 point of damage needed to kill my Thorn Divinity, which was sad. To be honest, as much as I want to joke about maybe that charge wasn't possible, I don't think it would have made the end of the world. Like, if the Thorn Divinity had survived, it would have healed up. It would have gone from 1 wound left to 9 wounds left. And
London.
And we know from my game with Daryl, I think it probably would have survived just because it just takes so little damage. It's ridiculous. But I was losing both flanks anyway. So even if it had run around, killed a whole bunch of stuff, that wouldn't have got me any points. And then it probably would have scored maybe something for the rest of the game. But I know he would have had the game anyway. So it would have maybe made the defeat seem less one-sided than the final score looked like. But I don't think it would have affected the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. Final game was a loss. First tournament loss of the year. And, in the final.
Well, Josh, mate, you've had a very good run of it, and I think you should be very proud of yourself. And in the fact that the only person who could defeat you is, like, the previous Conquest champion of 2 years ago or whatever. So, mate, you've been smashing it.
Oh, it's been a good year. Old Dominion have been good. I've now retired them.
Yep. Okay. Well, I swear they got a buff.
Now I'm just obsessed with giant Nords.
You've bought a lot of giants.
6 giant list is
I've bought 3 more giants. I'm up to 5 total. I want to buy another one and I want to get up. I want to do the 6 giant list. No, I own 6 now, actually. I think if I can buy one more, I can actually go up to a 7 giant list. It is possible.
Wow. Oh man, 7 giants. I mean, that's 7 things that don't lose stands.
Yep.
That's 7 things that don't lose their resolve stat because of losing the amount of stands they lose and all of that sort of stuff. That's still what they want, mate.
I mean, the best thing is, one, it might mean I stand chance having a painted army.
Yeah, sure.
But I think my favourite thing about it is when I was reading the new Nords rework, at the end it kind of talks about them being a fast army and the fact they've let light start to score again.
Yeah.
And I just think it almost feels a bit of an insult to Parabellum to go, oh yeah, you're a really fast army. I'm running no lights, 1 medium, and 7 heavies. But it was a good LGT, and I think all of us said this every year. There's so many people we love chatting to there. Everyone's super friendly. Win or lose, you have a good time.
Yeah.
And it was awesome just seeing the number of people this year. It was
a lot more people.
28 people. It felt like it had really grown.
Yeah.
It does feel like the competition gets a little bit stiffer every year as well.
Yes.
It's definitely lots of really solid players there. But I couldn't recommend it more. If there's one tournament you can make it to in the year, make it to LGT. It's so good.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, no, it's a great tournament. We had a lovely little chat with Duncan Rhodes as well about our book. That was exciting. It was really cool to meet him, actually. He's a really nice guy. I'm still not convinced him and Jamie aren't the same person. I mean, they look very similar. And I feel like, I don't want to confirm that they're not the same person, or that they are the same person, but have you ever seen Duncan Rhodes and Jamie in the same room together?
Well, there was, while I was at LGT, and I had the very odd experience of being halfway through a conversation with Duncan Rhodes, receiving a phone call from Jamie, and having this moment of going, wait a minute. Oh yeah, no, different guy.
I think Duncan Rhodes was calling you from his second phone underneath the table. Oh dear.
Yeah.
There you go. Right, great time. Well, thank you very much for listening. I said it before, I'll say it again. If you've got any questions, please send them in. We always love hearing what you have to say. If it's good or bad, if you want to moan about Old Dominion some more, even though they've got nerfed. If you want to moan about Nord's Giants now, because that's what I'll be moaning about, then please send us a question in at joshingaroundinair@gmail.com. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining us in Ealing over a a few glasses of Prosecco. And yeah, thank you very much for listening.
See you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bounce, bounce to the beat, hear it rush. A-apart, they got the touch. Miniatures war, they play no fuss. Sipping drinks hard, they chase the buzz. Joshing around with rhythm in their veins. Conquest kings in the game, they reign. Got the vibe, feel it spike. Highest crew, they're just your type. Roll the dice, let figures clash. Laughs erupt in a lightning flash. Gather round, it's a tribal beat. Never-ending games, can you feel the heat? Echoes of chance with every role they cast. Figures it starts their strategies vast. Josh, he's a painter, brushstrokes and math, melding his mind in each battle's path. Not Josh laughs with a cunning gaze. He's the other voice through the podcast wave.